Harry and also Meghan should be stripped of their Sussex title.
Prince William is reportedly formulating a plan to finally strip Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their HRH titles. Is still using her HRH title despite agreeing to drop the title when the Sussexes left royal duty.
Meghan Markle is in complete meltdown after the House of Lords finally drops a bombshell on her. It's officially panic mode for the ex-Duchess of Sussex because that royal title she's been parading around like a designer handbag?
There's good reason for it. Basically, the HRH is only given to working royals.
Yeah, it's getting ripped right off.
I think is absolutely infuriating in Buckingham Palace, and there was a very interesting source inside close to the Prince of Wales who spoke to the Daily Beast.
The House of Lords has officially done what Buckingham Palace never dared to. Step in and take real action. A formal petition, introduced by Lord Simon Lee, has shaken the foundations of royal tradition by calling for Meghan Markle's Duchess of Sussex title to be legally erased.
Prince William, who wants to officially strip their behinds of the title once and for all.
This isn't media speculation or a whisper from the press office. This is a cold, hard motion entered into one of the most powerful and historic legislative chambers in the world. And unlike the usual ceremonial fuss, this one has real constitutional teeth behind it.
Prince William is reportedly just waiting to take the throne and be king so that he could strip her of her title.
What happens when the oldest institution in British politics decides enough is enough with the most controversial Duchess in modern history?
She wants all of the privileges that go along with an identity, but she doesn't want any of the responsibility. She doesn't want to do any of the work. She wants the tiara, she doesn't want the public service.
What makes this move especially historic is its intent to strip a royal title from someone still alive, still famous, and very much still using it. This isn't about revisiting old scandals or quietly correcting a long-forgotten mistake. It's about taking a scalpel to a living, breathing brand built around one of the most exclusive social identities on Earth.
You chose to leave, you chose to try a different way of living, independent financial commitment, earning money to support your lifestyle.
The title of Duchess of Sussex was granted under the assumption of public service, duty, and representation. Meghan may have stepped away from royal work, but she didn't step away from the perks that came with it, and Parliament has now called that bluff.
The Queen quite rightly said, you can't use your HRH, you can't use royal, and you can't be half in.
Can the British establishment tolerate a duchess who doesn't do the job but still owns the business card? At the heart of the petition lies one specific legal instrument, the Royal Titles Act of 1917. This law, over a century old, was never intended to deal with Netflix deals or Spotify podcasts. But its language is crystal clear. Royal titles cannot be used for unauthorized commercial or political purposes.
A couple in Montecito who are making their fortune solely by damaging and destroying the royal family to promote their own fortunes and their own prestige and their own brand.
Meghan's post-royal career, saturated with branded content and global media ventures, may now fall squarely into the unauthorized category. Legal scholars argue that this act gives Parliament the right, not just the option, to terminate the title if it's found to be misused. Could the very law that once protected royal dignity now become the sword that cuts Meghan loose?
It's so funny, too, that you keep saying Meghan Markle, you know I'm Sussex now. You have kids.
I gotta pause.
The timing isn't coincidental. Parliament has watched years of royal tension play out through press conferences, interviews, and streaming platforms. What was once seen as private family tension is now a matter of public integrity. Titles like Duchess of Sussex don't just decorate social media bios, they carry diplomatic weight, influence, and a cultural legacy.
They're going to be stripped of their HRH title.
when that title becomes the face of a media empire built on criticizing the institution that granted it, the lines blur too far. And in the eyes of the House of Lords, those lines have officially been crossed. Is this the moment the crown finally bites back after years of playing defense? Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's recent trip to Nigeria is where things started getting seriously messy. What looked like a breezy cultural visit turned into a full-blown diplomatic controversy. They showed up in traditional outfits, met with high-ranking military officials, and gave speeches that sounded way too much like they were still on royal duty.
Meghan Markle has been very brazen recently with the use of the HRH.
The problem? They're not working royals anymore. And here's the kicker. No one from Buckingham Palace or the UK Foreign Office was informed or involved. When a couple no longer representing the monarchy starts acting like they do, where does the line get drawn?
Hours since the release of Harry and Meghan's bombshell Netflix documentary, and the papers have been reacting overnight. Oh boy, have they been reacting. The pair are dominating the front pages.
And this isn't the only reason Parliament is coming down hard. The Nigeria tour might have been the spark, but the fire has been building for years. Meghan and Harry have turned their royal identities into a brand, and not just in a subtle way.
And this is Forbes and Google, by the way, so this is just not the haters. This is not just right-wing acts freaking out about Meghan Markle. I mean, nobody liked it.
Their Netflix series opens with the titles Duke and Duchess of Sussex splashed across the screen in fonts so regal they might as well have been carved into a throne. Their Spotify deals, their content, their promos, all of it leans into the idea that they're still royals, still official, still relevant in a way that suggests authority. If you give up the job, do you still get to wear the uniform when the cameras are rolling?
This is all just karma for Harry and Meghan's nonsense over the last...
And when they tried to trademark Sussex Royal and Archewell globally, things went from questionable to outright commercial. It wasn't a small brand extension. It was a full-scale business plan built on a title granted by the Crown. Queen Elizabeth herself had to step in to stop them from using the word royal on merchandise.
This is our family. This is Britain. You don't need to keep your titles anymore. After they trade on their titles, they make their money by always parading themselves as the Duke and Duchess.
That's not just a quiet disagreement behind palace doors. That's a rare, direct intervention from the top. And yet, even after the royal roadblocks, the branding didn't stop. It just got reworded. Different name, same game. Well, guys, do you also think that Harry and Meghan needs to stop branding their Duke and Duchess title? If yes, then like this video and subscribe our channel to show us support. At what point does holding on to a title cross the line from nostalgia into exploitation? But things escalated long before the Beyoncé clip ever made its way online. The moment that truly shifted public opinion was Meghan's sit-down with Oprah Winfrey. That interview wasn't just revealing, it was volcanic.
Meghan did it. It was vain. Meghan can't keep her hands off her bum.
Her claim that a member of the royal family questioned her unborn child's skin color sparked global outrage. She didn't name names, but she didn't have to. The damage was done. Headlines erupted, fingers pointed, and the monarchy was slammed with accusations of racism before it could even respond. What happens when a duchess ignites a firestorm and leaves the institution defenseless?
Their whole approach to Megxit was equally troublesome for them and their reputations.
And this is where it all comes full circle. The Duchess title isn't just a name, it carries influence, recognition, and symbolic weight. When that weight is used to launch accusations, spark global controversy, and shake public confidence in the monarchy, Parliament sees it not as brave, but reckless.
And commentators are allowed an opinion, and it's up to you to behave in a way that will get you.
Meghan's defenders say she spoke her truth. Her critics say she torched the institution and hid behind a title while doing it. And now, the consequences are no longer just public outrage, they're legislative. If a royal title becomes a weapon instead of an honor, how long before it's taken away?
Everything into it, don't we? I mean, we did a poll, actually, should Harry and Meghan lose their royal titles? And 67% of you said yes.
When a YouGov poll dropped in May 2025, it didn't just make headlines, it rattled the royal institution to its core. A massive 67% of the British public said Meghan Markle should be stripped of her Duchess of Sussex title. That number isn't a small swing in opinion, it's a landslide. And it didn't stop with her. 61% said Prince Harry should lose his HRH status too. These aren't fringe views anymore. This is the mainstream response from a nation that's clearly had enough. What does it say when an entire country turns against a title once meant to symbolize unity and service?
It's actually, well, it's 2/3, and it's actually higher than I thought it would be. Because
higher than you thought.
Yeah,
Right.
do you know what I felt? He'll always be Prince Harry. Whenever you talk about Harry,
Of course
it'll
it will.
be
It was always Princess Diana. It didn't make.
For Parliament, this poll wasn't just public opinion, it was political ammunition. Lawmakers are using it to prove that this isn't about old-school tradition or royal gatekeeping. It's about representing the will of the people. And that will is clear. If you leave the job, you leave the badge. The public watched for years as Meghan used her title for everything from media projects to interviews to branding plays. And now they're saying no more. Parliament heard that loud and clear. When public outrage becomes Parliament's mission, can the monarchy afford to stay silent?
Basically, it was formed within the royal family called the Way Ahead Group. Because at the end of the day, this is a business. The monarchy is a business, and it has to be protected if you watch The Crown. But at all costs, monarchy comes first.
And silent it has stayed. King Charles has chosen not to weigh in, not to speak up, and definitely not to act. That silence might be polite in royal terms, but to Parliament, it's becoming a liability.
But strategically, it would be a catastrophic mistake.
Lawmakers are stepping in because they say the crown won't. One peer even said, if the monarchy can't defend its titles, it loses control. That's not just frustration, that's a warning shot. The House of Lords isn't just debating protocol anymore. They're stepping into a power vacuum that the palace left wide open. Is royal silence preserving dignity or slowly draining authority? It's not just about Meghan anymore.
I think she does need Harry, I think she does. And she must know by now that she doesn't get everything right.
At this point, it's about whether royal titles mean anything if there are no consequences for misusing them. The Lords are treating this as a full-blown constitutional crisis. If someone can walk away from royal duty, cash in on the image, and keep the title like a souvenir, then what's left of the monarchy's credibility? That's the core of their argument. And it's not abstract. They're saying Meghan didn't just break the rules, she exposed that the rules can be broken without penalty. Can an institution built on symbolism survive if its symbols are turned into merchandise?
Again, she spoke about her learns, which in the real world are called mistakes.
Parliament is trying to draw a line. They're saying that this is where the monarchy either tightens its grip or lets go completely. Titles like Duchess of Sussex were never meant to be used in brand deals, Netflix documentaries, or podcast introductions. They were meant to represent service, loyalty, and connection to the crown. When those ideals are replaced with marketing and media appearances, lawmakers are left with one question: does the title still belong? And in this case, their answer is no. If Meghan keeps the title after all of this, what stops anyone else from doing the same? So fellows, the story hasn't ended yet, but everyday new drama is unfolding. Subscribe now to stay updated. Stay